How do you go from a proficient pilot to a proficient note buyer? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV, where every week we bring you, the most amazing content as well as the most amazing guests. And this week is no different. As you may have surmised from the teaser there, yes, he is an airline pilot, and we'll bring him on in just a minute. But before we do, let's go ahead and hit that like button. Guys, so many of you, hundreds of you watch these episodes every week, but you don't all hit that like button. So as a Christmas gift to Eddie and I, as you guys are watching it, just press that like button. Just make our day, right? And then secondly, if you have not already subscribed to the NoteSchool TV channel, make sure and do that. And then lastly, go ahead and hit that bell notification so that you will be... You'll know when we go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. Keep those comments coming in. Let us know what you think. Let us know what's going in your market. So keep those coming in. We love to hear from you. And then if you would love to know more about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So now I am going to welcome, founder of NoteSchool, our chief visionary officer, all-around good guy, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Good morning.
Eddie, you've got somebody sitting there with you. Who is that fella?
I do. Well, he's in the left seat and I'm in the right seat.
There you go.
Exactly.
Morning, Joe.
As it should be. Good morning, Tom.
our friend, note investor, and really we just have become kindred spirits, Mr. Tom Force. Tom lives here in Dallas-Fort Worth, so he can come hang out with us live. Not everybody can do that. Mm-hmm. And Tom, we're going to talk a little bit. We got a case study today. You were a finalist in the case study competition, but more importantly, before we do that today, I want to talk to you about kind of your journey, like what you were trying to do with your note business, why you were doing it. And then obviously, as we progress, we'll open up the case study and look at one of your results. Joe said you were a proficient pilot. I think that's more than a safe statement. How many years flying?
Total with the Air Force and the airlines, 42 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So he's been flying a plane as long as I've been in the note business, pretty much.
Right.
We started just about the same time. Yes.
Yep.
And so obviously he'll tell you his story about being a airline captain, and you got started with us a couple of years ago.
Yes, sir.
And you had a very specific mission. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
You had a very specific mission that I think our audience will be very interested in. So give us a little history and bring us up to date into where you've been and how you got to where you are at the moment.
Sure, Eddie. So fast backward about 2.5 years, middle of all the COVID stuff, 2021. My wife and I just finished our last flip. I've got a very real estate heavy family. Both my boys are accomplished realtors. My wife's a realtor. My daughter is in charge of escrow at a title company about a mile behind my back here. And so we have a lot going on. 2021 obviously was a lot different, but having grown up through the military and airlines and moved a lot, I've been involved in a lot of real estate investments. Just about anything anybody in this audience has been involved in, I've been, from syndications, land development, whole bunch of things, Airbnbs, like the flips, but they're transactional. But over time, I've really gotten to find the rentals to be a chore, to be a job. And I think that resonates with a lot of people out there. Is just, especially get to my stage of life, do you want to be managing the headaches as you move on and want to enjoy your retirement? So about, like I said, it was June, July of 2021. I was actually subscribed to another educational provider, and they had Eddie on on their podcast. And what he said, just, you know, we all go through life and there's something that defines a moment in our life that changes things. And I said, man, that sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. Cause I don't want, I know I need cash flow. I've got money sitting in the bank, but I need cash flow that I can sleep at night, and rentals wasn't doing it for me. So when I heard about notes, my first reaction was like, where was this 30 years ago? And then B, how can I find out more? And the topper was Eddie's right here in Southlake, where I raised the family. So I dove in as much as I could. I said, this is what I've got to get into. I've got at that time about 3 hours, three hours. I've got about 3 years till retirement, and I want to put together a plan to have cash flow in retirement that's not dependent upon rentals and all the headaches, something I could kind of set and forget and just rely on going forward. That's the kind of retirement I want for my wife and I. That's what I surmised at the time, and that's kind of what I put together. So that's kind of how it all began, Eddie.
One of the things that we've talked about, and I think a lot of people are in this, you were preparing for the fact that you didn't want a dip in your income.
Right.
You wanted to be able to replace your income with something other than being a pilot. The retirement's awesome, but not that awesome.
No,
not
a
salary.
Not like it used to be. No.
And so you were really looking to do that. You were forced to retire, right?
Yes,
just because of age.
It's mandatory. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you backed up. You were forced to retire at 65. You started on this journey, and so you started buying notes, predominantly performing notes.
Almost all until recently.
And one of the things that I thought was really neat, you were talking to a live audience with me the other day when you and I were at an event, a class, and you said, "I've already hit my goal."
That's correct. Hit it a year early. Yep. And I couldn't have done it without you guys, the Note School. It became very evident very quickly I was in the right place. A lot of weekend gurus say, hey, this is how you do it. Go out and get them, Tiger. But I have a back office here. I've got a family in the Note School ecosphere. And I'm like, well, I've got all this education now, but if I don't act on it, it's just entertainment. So I dipped my toe in the water. I had some actually IRA funds. And, I'm very big into self-directed IRAs and doing all that type of planning. And so I put some of that money to work, and it was just what I expected it to be. It's been consistent income. I don't worry about it. The borrowers don't call me. And so I've added on top of that, pretty much emptied my entire stack available into notes. And I've been very happy that I did. And now I'm utilizing some other strategies going forward now to create wealth as well.
I had the spreadsheet the other day of just kind of your tally numbers, and I don't quite remember them. So remind me, you bought how many notes?
I've got a total between the notes I bought and a few that I've created, 21 notes, one of which I bought was non-performing. I did that on purpose. And actually, we just foreclosed on that note a couple of days ago. I was just talking to Charles about that. So, but that was the plan. And I saw that coming. So I've got 20 performing notes, and kicks off a lot of cash.
Over 10,000.
Over 10,000. Yes. Yeah. I'd say inclusive of servicing fees, about $11,500, which exceeded my goal. I at the time I didn't expect to fully replace my pilot salary, and that hasn't, but that's something comfortable to live on. That to me, that's money that comes every month, literally in the mailbox with some servicers. I don't have to worry about it, and it supplements the other stuff that we have, so that going forward, we've got the things that we want to be covered, and our vacations covered, that kind of thing. Plus, it's also the kind of business that I can leave behind me. I don't have to leave behind, if something happens to me, I don't leave behind a bunch of rentals, a bunch of headaches. It's very seamless, and the family just goes ahead and manages it.
Well, and the other thing we've talked about is, you of course, you're an airline pilot, right? So you've heard the stewardesses say this like 10,000 times, and that is, if we lose oxygen, who do you give oxygen to first?
Person sitting next to you. No, I'm just kidding. No, you take care of yourself. Make sure
you got me there for a minute there.
Well, I've been, American Airlines says I've been on about 2,000 flights, and that's not the way they said it when I was on there. But yeah,
take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself first, and that's what they've done. Now they're in a position to do all these legacy strategies, right? But once again, he's gotten himself positioned to do it, and I've already am fully aware of a number of things that he's doing with his family that we're very excited about seeing him do. So I just think you know, people, what you said was so true. Joe, you say this frequently, right? You know, education without implementation is just entertainment, right?
Yep.
And so that's the one thing that we've been so focused on, is not just showing people how to do this business, but figuring out how to help them do this business, because that's a key to it.
Based on their needs. Yeah.
And really, so, and obviously you've already, the audience, you guys in the audience have already seen Tom has become our friend. He's a member of our NoteSchool family, and people think that sounds kind of hokey until you're involved in it, and it's not hokey at all, right?
Not at all. I mean, I've got a wonderful family now here at NoteSchool. Extends well beyond the borders of Texas. We all get together. I look forward to NoteExpo and the summits and all that, and we chat offline. You know, we've got our own private group, and it's nice to be around like-minded people. And I think that's the problem today in a lot of the other industries and investment groups. Everybody kind of sees each other as a competition, but we don't. I actually mentioned this from the stage at NoteExpo, is that some people worry about having enough money to do their deals. And I said, look around you. These are the people who have the money, the interest, and the education to work with you. And then that ties in a little bit to what we're going to talk about later on. But be around the people who want to get going. And I've not found a jerk in the crowd. Everybody is great. I love the family.
Well, that's, you know, we've been pretty intentional about that. Yeah. And so Tom, we have a competition every year at NoteExpo, and we tell people, like, submit your case studies, and don't making money doing something boring is good.
True.
You know?
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
So you didn't have to be some wild story. We had a couple of wild stories in our case study competition.
But great education too. And you know, at the end, when you see somebody land the plane that was on fire, and it's like, that actually gives me confidence that I could do the same thing. You know? So those crazy stories are actually a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. But when you just land that plane and there's nothing wrong, that's okay too, right, Tom?
That's my job. Yep, exactly.
All right, so let's show these slides here. And there's our friend Tom, and Joe and I on stage with you at NoteExpo, and you got to share with them really not just this deal, but kind of quickly share your vision of where you were trying to go with the business.
Sure.
And so anyway, you bought a performing note. It was in my home state of Mississippi.
I own a few in Mississippi.
They've
been good to me.
Yeah. So this property was located in Mississippi. Current market value was $189,000. Nice little brick house there in Mississippi. Remember what town it is?
Oh, it's Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
My wife went to Mississippi State.
Did she? And there's an Air Force base here.
Yeah, there is an Air Force base in Columbus. Yep. Okay, so here's the debt. It was the borrower's debt was 300 months. The balance was 135. Now, remember, the house was worth quite a bit more than that, right?
Sure was. And another important thing there, Eddie, is that they have paid every month. I went through the servicer's notes. Even through COVID, they had not missed a payment. And we love people like that.
That's awesome. Well, obviously, as we like to say, when you look at the picture of the house, there's emotional equity, right? There's the expression is there's roses in the flower bed, right? And obviously, you can see they're taking care of the house. And by the way, they're paying 9% interest on that loan.
Yep.
You know, so that's pretty good interest rate on the note. If it were a lower rate, you'd have to discount the note more.
Sure.
Right. And so the payment's $1,250 a month. Joe, their house payment is $1,250 a month.
Yeah.
The average house payment today on that kind of house is closer to $2,000, isn't it?
$2,000 to $2,100. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. North of 2,000.
All right. So you buy the note and you bought it for 82 cents on the dollar. So you still got a discount on it.
Yeah. And I love that part, because if they wake up tomorrow and decide to refinance or to sell it, there's a $24,000 pop right there into my pocket.
That's great. All right. So you paid $111,000. And let's look at that. So so here was the balance on the note. Here's what they owed. Here's the interest rate on the note. That's what I'm underlining here. And then 76 payments already made.
Right, before I picked it up.
Before you bought the note, they had been making 76 payments. I was actually involved in the acquisition of this portfolio. So I know the story. I know the backstory. It's some old Mississippi connections. Shocker, shocker, right?
Right.
And this was an estate, and they were cleaning up the estate. So they had a family, and they needed just to get rid of it. They loved the notes.
Mhm.
So a great redeeming factor is they'd already made 76 payments, and there was 224 remaining.
That's correct.
Okay. So you bought a pretty long-term note.
Yes, I did.
You didn't just buy $12.50 a month for a day or two, did you?
No.
All right. So here's some deal points. I'll put these up there and let you kind of go through those.
Okay. So we, performing note, 76 payments made. House is worth $189,000. That gives me a lot of comfort if anything were to happen, suddenly they couldn't pay any longer. So my investment to value is only 59%. That's something I feel is really strong.
Yeah.
I like the discount because at any time, if they decide 9% is too high and we have a reduction in rates, they might decide 4 or 5%, whatever, even the plus fives that we might have next year or the year after, they come in a refinance. That note that I have is wiped off the books, and I get $24,119. At this present moment, it'll be a little bit less as we go on. But what I call that the money bomb. That's the difference between what I have in it and what is left. That could go off at any time and put a bunch of money in my pocket. And I actually had that happen with one of my land notes. It paid off six weeks after I bought it. That was a nice pop.
Wow.
We do the happy dance.
That's a blessing and a curse, right? I mean,
I got to go find another note, Joe.
Go,
and so, I picked it up just a little over a year ago.
All right. So you've been collecting payments, and you bought the note. You bought the right to receive these payments.
Mm-hmm.
You collected $14,000 worth of payments in the first 12 months. So that's a big deal, right? Yeah. You bought a note. You funded $111,000. You collected in cash flow $14,750 in the first year.
Yes, sir.
You got any rentals that'll do that?
No, and I don't know many people who do either. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, well, that's why people like notes,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you turn around and you sell a partial.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Only 36 months.
Right.
But it gave you $40,000.
So, and the concept of partials is usually lost on people if they're seeing this for the first time. But, I do talk to a lot of groups about notes, realtors and investors, and on podcasts and things like that. And one of the questions that always comes up is, okay, what happens when you have all your money in your notes and you need to get some money out? Or we'll talk about, using it as leverage to grow wealth. That's another thing. But notes are very liquid. There's a lot of ways to get money out of them and stay invested. And one is to sell off a partial. So I had been looking at this particular note because it performed so well to sell off some of the payments for cash and reinvest elsewhere. So I happened to we talk about the NoteSchool ecosphere. I was on our private Facebook page, and some newer NoteSchool students have posted on there that they were looking to buy a partial for about $40,000 for 3 years. And I said, oh, let me look at my note. And I said, that'd be a good deal. So we got together. And so what I did was I sold off the right to receive the next 36 payments for $40,000. That came in cash to my company that has this note. And so now the person who I sold the partial to, they get those payments for the next, you're going to show this, but they get the payments for the next 36 months, and I'm just keeping the back end. And so my basis has dropped 40,000.
So they get a decent return on their money, and you still own 176 payments. So this is Tom here on the back side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I think is cool about this story, Tom. You bought this note. I'm going to change my colors here so it's a little easier to see. You bought this note, and you paid 111 thereabouts, right?
Yeah.
111,000.
Yeah.
That's a K,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got 55 back
real quick
here.
Mm-hmm. After the first year.
First year's worth of payments, and then you sold a partial. So you got half your money back.
Mm-hmm.
You have half your money invested. So your investment in this piece is $55,000 thereabouts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And 176 payments, 176 at $12.50 a month.
Right.
And Joe, I'm betting that you calculated that. That's for $55,000 investment, you got $220,000 back.
Right. And if they sell the house or refinance, then that little money bomb is still sitting there. I still collect on that. So that's
you don't lose. You don't lose either way. So
nope.
People say, "What's your yield on that $55,000 investments?"
Pretty high.
Pretty high.
My calculator won't figure. I don't think.
Well, we can calculate.
You probably can.
Well, I always say the best deal's when you don't need a calculator, right?
Exactly.
All right, so let's look at your math here. Like you invested this, you collected those payments, you got your 40,000 partial sale.
Mhm.
You have $220,000 in future payments,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And so your total profit on this deal is 163,000
Right.
profit.
Right.
But once again, you got this within the first year.
Exactly. Lowers my basis and risk.
So now all of a sudden for your remaining investment,
Mhm.
you're earning $163,000.
Mhm.
But it's pretty amazing because, as we said, for your remaining 55,000, you get 220 back in payments.
Right.
Mhm.
And this is what we call being a note architect, right?
Right.
And this is one of countless stories. Could you have sold enough of the note to get your investment back?
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of what I was planning to do. But I thought this would be a great way to start with somebody who's new.
Well, and you've seen Martha and I do this
Right.
a lot, right?
Only other thing is, in my submission to Joe that got a little bit lengthy, I said the actual plan was, I've got the 40,000, so I've got together with Bob and I already bought another note. But what happens at the end of 3 years? I could go partial it out again, and then I could partial out again, and I actually have received more money in the partials than I invested to begin with. That's where the calculations get real crazy.
Yeah,
like that. And it's just math.
So this is why we have a fun time with people that come to a class, whether they start out with a 2-hour and then they end up with a 3-day, and you hung out with us a little while.
Mhm.
And we start doing these case studies. We start showing people this math,
Right.
The what's possible math, I call it.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it just makes a ton of sense. So you look at it, it sort of is kind of what you said, and your options are you can sell another partial, you can keep it.
Mhm.
It's sort of endless as to what you can do with it. People, interesting though, Tom, you said this, people feel like when they buy a note, their money is tied up and there's nothing they can do with it. And that's
No.
just that's a myth.
No, it's besides selling a partial, you could pledge it for a loan. But God forbid you actually had to go and cash out. I guarantee you, especially if you bought the notes at a discount, you're going to get most, if not all, of your money back. Versus trying to do that with a portfolio of rentals, especially in this market. Very, very liquid, and that adds a layer of security to what I do.
Well, one thing I wanted to do, Tom, in doing this process with you today is really, it's not just the magic math, and it is kind of magic math.
Right.
We don't know what we don't know until we know it.
Sure.
Right.
Mhm.
And so we've learned that, and we've gotten fairly good at teaching it and what the options are and fitting how you structure the deal to the story. And that's kind of what you're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah.
But then more importantly, it all goes back to the why.
Right. Mhm.
Right. And I think in your case, Tom, you had a short-term why of being able to essentially replace your salary.
Yeah.
And then build legacy. And then the one last thing I think, Tom, is really to talk about what you have alluded to a little bit, because I think this is the most important variable. And that is, you and I are the same age.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, you don't want to get up in if you could stop grinding as a younger person, you'd love to stop grinding, which is, you said, why didn't I find notes 30 years ago?
Right.
But you're at a point right now where you have grandkids and you have all this life in front of you, and you and your wife like to do, fun stuff and travel.
Mhm.
And the notes give you a freedom.
Absolutely. They do. I have a podcast, and I actually call it the Worry-Free Cashflow Podcast. And on some of my layovers, some of the nicer places, I've actually done some corny little videos where I'm sitting here in Punta Cana, and I'm not worrying about my cash flow because it's there. Nobody's calling me. The rental, the landlords aren't calling me. Let's face it, when you get to our age, life has been a grind no matter what you're doing. And the last thing you want is a job going forward to make ends meet. So that's been the attraction to notes. And that's why, and Eddie, it sounds corny, but I feel indebted to you guys for, it was a good stroke of luck that I found you and acted on. You guys have been everything that I expected you to be and more. And you know this story, but I do talk to realtors and other folks, presentations on notes. And I was at my son's team meeting about 2 years ago, teaching on this very subject. And everybody was wrapped with attention. And then at the end, they had all admitted nobody had ever heard of note investing before. And these are seasoned realtors, all levels of experience. And one of them came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm kind of angry." And I said, "Why?" She goes, "I've been investing for 20 years and I've never heard of this." and so that was just another light that went off. And I said, Notes have been really good to me and my family. And, I don't like to say we're set, but our retirement certainly got in a different trajectory than I pictured it 3 years ago. But I kind of feel an obligation going forward to kind of spread the word about it. And so I had Eddie on my son's podcast not too long ago. They've got a well-received podcast, and in that 3-day class was somebody from that podcast, and their lives are going to be changed from notes. Sure. So it's kind of cool when you bring something life-changing to other people, you kind of feel the need to pay that forward. So that's kind of I'm 172 days from retirement. Who's counting? But, people ask what I'm going to do when I'm retired. You're going to be bored. I said, no, I'm probably going to have less time on my hands because now I can do all the things I want to do. And a lot of it is talking about notes and talking about building wealth. There's some strategies we haven't talked about today, but the partial is a big strategy. And just getting out there, helping the family with the real estate business, helping with the creative financing. And there's just so many things we can do. When I came on, Eddie, in 2021, you're right. I just wanted to build up my bank and that was it. Yeah. But like you said, you don't know what you don't know. And now I've learned that there was so much more to it, so much more opportunity. And just really looking forward to the next adventures here in a few months when I'm actually in it full time, so to speak.
Yeah. All right, Joe, you come back on with us.
Yeah.
Joe, I don't know. Could you tell that Tom's a little enthusiastic about this?
He is very enthusiastic, and he has reason to be. I mean, he came in 2.5 years ago. He's going, what am I going to do to make sure that we have, that we're good, we're retiring. All three of us are, right there. I'm never going to retire, but you know what I mean. Same way with you, and same way with you. We're good. We love what we do.
Right. Well, there's retirement, and there's being able to pick a path that doesn't cause you to work quite so hard. And I think that's what you guys heard Tom alluding to today. And my wife and I are on the same path. And so anyway, Tom, great story. Thank you, sir. Thank you for becoming a friend, somebody that I really respect. You beautiful, wonderful family, grown kids, but just really, you can tell they, Tom and his wife did a great job of showing value and life value to their family. And it's just a, you're thanking me, and I appreciate that. But I tell you, Tom, and you're going to see it the same way. You just become a vessel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. You're just the vessel.
Exactly right.
Why would we not show somebody this,
Right.
So, right. Joe, we're going to let you close us out. Thank you for your Christmas shirt today, I see.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we're only 5 days away, man.
Yeah.
How warm is it in Christmas in Florida, Joe?
Well, you know what? It's been in the mid 50s, upper 40s last night, mid 50s today. It's a perfect chamber.
Yeah, but still a little cool. Might be a little frost on the
Chamber of Commerce weather here, man.
It is for sure.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for being with us. I just, like Tom had said, sharing this with others, Eddie and I, we, the whole Note School team, we feel like what we do here is, we want to show you what the possibilities are there and are out there. And I feel like really it's like walking on hallowed ground when we're able to share that and affect somebody's life. And it makes you feel really good. Guys, we're blessed. This is our last show before Christmas. Next week, we will have on our final show of 2023. Wow. Can't believe it, but the momentum is on our side for 2024. Eddie and I talked about that the other day, as far as what's going on in the industry. 2024 is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. If you would like to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. We'd love to have you at one of our 2-hour master classes done by Mr. Eddie, as well as Mr. Max Keller, who is our Chief Market Officer. So just inquire about that. Just you can send it into the same website there. So go there, guys. Hope every one of you love your families, spend some time with family, have some good food, open some gifts, and just remember why we celebrate all of this. And Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Bye now.